Welcome to episode 145 of Stage Worthy. I'm your host, Phil Rickaby, and I'm here in Halifax for a Fringe Roundup, and this is going to be the first of two Fringe Roundups. We'll start on my left and with introductions and talk a little bit about your show.
Cool. So my name is Andrew Gaunce. My show is Something Wrong from Aberrant Theatre. We're based in Toronto. It's a spooky little storytelling show. Horror stories, mostly true, some experiences that I've had that don't necessarily have logical explanations, and a little bit of horror fan nerdery in there as well. It's a good time.
And what venue are you at?
Oh, we're at the Waiting Room, and we've got a show every day for the rest of the festival at some point. Yeah,
every day.
Every day.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
I gotta say, because when I'm looking at the schedule, I found the Fundy Fringe, which is a 5-day festival, and you perform every day. I found that a bit of a sprint.
Sure.
Performing every day, because I've done other fringes where most people don't perform every day.
Right.
And you get to the point where you're like, I have one day off, and that is going to be the most amazing day off ever. So I can't imagine doing every day.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, I think. This is my first Fringe. I'm a Fringe performer virgin, so we're learning that maybe a day off at some point might be a good idea. But
it's too late now.
Too late now, exactly.
So you're going to have to take your day off after the Fringe.
Exactly.
All right.
See what we can do.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mariel Kathryn Hunter. My show is called I Want to Come Home. We're with Fort Hart Productions based out of Vancouver. So we've got the whole country here today.
Yeah.
It's great. My show is about a young woman who is an actor, or wants to be, and lives on the east coast of Canada. And she ends up moving across the country and leaving everything she knows and loves behind so she can chase her dreams. And then, of course, gets homesick and wants to find a way to be the artist she always wanted to be in the place that she misses and loves so much. It's been going really, really well. All of our houses have been friendly. We're eager to see more fans and more butts in seats, and it's going to be a lot of fun for the rest of the festival.
And what venue are you?
I am in the Old Pool Hall Theatre with you.
With me!
With you! Venue buddies!
And I'm Laura Thornton. My show is The Birthday. We're with Whale Song Theatre, and I'm from Halifax. Literally representing the entire country coast to coast today. Our show is 15 minutes long, so it's a nice little Fringe bite. It takes place in an alternate reality where everybody knows the date and time they're going to die. So it's just like, it escalates quickly, and it's kind of funny. We were called witty, which I will consider a high compliment. This is actually my 12th Halifax Fringe.
Oh, wow.
In a row. So I was like, hello, welcome, Virgin. What's new? Welcome to my hometown. But this is the first time I've been a Fringe performer in about 7 years. So that's a whole new, not a whole new ball game, but all right, acting.
Were you mostly a producer of Fringe before?
Producer, director. Way back in the day, I ran the thing for 2 summers.
Okay.
Wow.
That was a weird summer job. Being 19 years, we had a crossover of who was in charge about 8 years ago now. But I spent the first 2 summers of my Fringe experience as a summer student running the Fringe for somebody who was kind of nuts, but the government, it was a job creation job, so the government paid me like $22 an hour, and I'm like, this is an arts job, I'm 19 years old, and I have infinite power!
Living the dream.
Yeah. Producer, director, usually jury member when the occasion that this festival is juried. So I've seen a lot of shows.
And as I mentioned earlier, I'm Phil Rickaby. My show is The Commandment. It's also at the Old Pool Hall Theatre. Homebody Productions is the company, and had one show so far.
Great.
Yeah,
And it was great. I was there.
Thank you.
It was great.
Not bad for a first show in a place that I've never performed before.
Yeah.
It's hard to be from out of town in any Fringe.
Yes, yeah. And I will tell you, Halifax audiences take a minute to warm up. Like, if you're from away, they're like, we're gonna wait until somebody else tests the waters first. But then you'll get, once people word of mouth happens, folks will come out in droves.
Nice. Cool.
The first weekend's always slow. Next weekend, you're gonna be like, hello everybody, where were you last weekend?
I always feel like in all the Fringes I've done, you're always like those people who come the first weekend. You're always like, bless you.
Oh,
Bless
yeah.
you people who are willing to take a risk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because they're always like, because most people are just waiting for those reviews. Like, what's good? Because I only want to see something that's good. But the people who go before the reviews are out, those are they're the
pioneers.
They're pioneers of Fringe. Yeah, exactly. So, how have your Fringes been so far? Pretty good? Like,
I'm having a great time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm having a great time. I've met a lot of awesome artists who I'm really excited to go see all their shows. I know Andrew a little bit, so I'm very excited to see his show.
Same to you.
Thank you so much. Everyone seems really friendly, so I'm excited to get out there.
Yeah.
I love Fringe. This is like my favorite time of year in Halifax. Like Halifax Theatre, we look forward to this every year. It really is Christmas. Like our community is so small that and we're always so busy that we never get to see each other. So Fringe is the one time of year I'm like, all right, I'm seeing 17 shows in 3 days, but I'm also going to see 400 of my friends and meet new people, and I love it. I'm having a blast. We've had one show so far. Good audience, but I've seen a couple of things already, and I'm just like, yes, nice. Everyone brought their A game this year.
Yeah. I do find that like that the idea that we're always so busy, we never see each other.
Yeah.
But Fringe is when we hang out is a relatively common thing in Fringe festivals. So
sure.
Yeah. Have you guys had a chance to see anything?
I've seen a couple. Only 2 so far.
Okay.
But they've been great. Saw Hello City's opening show, and they're a lot of fun. Just wild, improvised book club. Really, really funny. It was a great energy in there. And then last night I saw, I'm going to mangle the title because it's ridiculous, Wild Bill's live stream YouTube.
I've been practicing this one. It's Wild Bill's Facebook feeding time YouTube yeehaw.
Wow!
There you go. Congratulations.
Kendall was on the podcast last week, so I felt like I had to. I owed it to her to join in. And joining us now is
Emilie.
Emilie, welcome, Emilie. Hi, I'm Phil. Nice to meet you. If you want to, can you take a second and talk about your show?
Introduce the show. Yeah. So I'm directing The Easy Love and Blues by Evan Gilbert Blake.
It's on my list. I want to see that one.
Yeah, you should come. It's going to be really good. It's a really complicated play, but also really beautiful. I think so. It kind of deals with ecosystems of power in abusive relationships and how they're co-created because usually, like, one or both parties have a history of abuse. That said, it's also a very funny play. Like, against all, my best intentions, I was going for something really heavy, but I have brilliant actors and the text is brilliant, so it actually is very funny and entertaining.
Awesome. Cool. And what venue are you at?
The Old Company Theatre.
Okay, so you just right over. Yeah,
yeah, we opened today actually.
Oh, you haven't performed yet. Yeah. All right. Well, what time is your
3, I believe.
3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get this up before then. Just so that people can have a chance. Can you? Aside from what you've just said, is there anything that you can talk to us about that show? Like, where did it come from?
What do you mean?
You're directing? You didn't write it?
Yes. No, I
you didn't write it. You just directed.
No, it's written by Evan Gilbert.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, and what made you want to do it? Like, did they come to you, or did you select the play, or?
No, I chose the play. I chose the play way back in September.
Okay.
I don't know. I was interested in abusive relationships. I was interested in them not being as one-dimensional as there being, like one abusive party and one like victim. And I was interested in, because abusive relationship has this huge connotation, like as if it's something, like really rare, or that it necessarily means like a big buff man and a wife beater, and then like a timid, frail woman just taking it. When I think a lot of relationships are abusive, and like abuse can be like a much smaller thing than we think, or a much more passive thing than we think. And I was just curious about the mechanisms of that, so I chose this play because there's 5 characters, and so there's like at least 3 ecosystems going on, and it's really interesting how they mirror each other, and it's interesting how they're very different, but also very, very similar. Like, there's a mother-daughter relationship, and then there's, like, a romantic relationship. And, it's crazy how, like, those distributions of power really mirror each other, despite one not being a sexual relationship.
Interesting.
And now I really want to see it.
And we were talking about shows that we've seen, so just to jump back into where we were. So you saw...
Wild Bill's
Facebook live feeding time YouTube yeehaw.
There you go.
Yes.
Which is wonderful. It lives up to the title. It was uncomfortable and brilliant, and I laughed so very hard. And I loved it. It was
It's
a
good.
weird and wild show.
The title tells you that it's going to be a weird and wonderful show.
Yeah,
Just
very much so.
screams Fringe.
It
and I
does.
love
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. You said you saw 2 shows.
Hello City. was
Hello
the other
City,
one.
right. Mariel, have you had a chance to see
I saw
anything?
one brilliant show so far. That's all I've had time to see with our schedule. It is a great show. I've seen it a few times now, and I'm very proud to say it's your own show, Phil. It's so great. Yeah, I hope everybody makes it out to see it because it's really worth seeing. A lot of heart and soul in there, and it's just beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You came highly recommended before you arrived. I had a lot of people up at Fundy who were like, he's coming to your town, you need to go see that show. So
Well, all right
just to
then.
plug you a little bit.
Thank you so much to the people at the Fundy Fringe there. Have you had a chance to see it?
So yesterday I checked out 25, another show that came highly recommended.
Oh my God.
Oh
Yes,
no, that Fundy
absolutely.
Fringe. That kind of show is absolutely my Fringe aesthetic. I want weirdly disjointed, takes you a minute to figure out the plot, but in a good way. And then I also, as a director, I'm like, I love a good transition. And oh my God, their little, every transition between their little scenes is so smart. I was sitting there going, yes, I'm stealing that idea. That's so good.
I have to agree with you because I saw them in St. John. And
it's so sharp.
Just I love. I also have a thing for a good transition. And I think I had the same reaction as they were transitioning, and you'd be like, "Fuck yeah!"
I was like, "There's not a wasted second in this show."
Yeah,
Yes.
because transitions are one of those things when you see them done badly, and everything's like, let's sort of dim a second. Things take so long, and it kills the momentum, and they never kill the momentum.
That's it. I come from the musical theater world, so a transition, we usually get a musical break while it happens, and you can make something fun of it.
Yeah.
So plays make me nervous. I'm like, oh God, the lights are going down. The lights are going down. How long is this gonna take? But it was so sharp and so smart. And so well acted. They have such great chemistry. I was like, yes, thank you for starting my Fringe experience with an oomph. And then I also saw Liminal Flight. It's one of the circus shows. For full disclosure, I actually used to work with the 3 people who were involved at Halifax Circus. But they are so talented and so strong, literally and physically. It's 25 minutes. It's slick as hell. It is pumped up with just the most insane aerial tricks you're gonna see. They went for it. It's got a clear story. There's fire. Who doesn't like fire?
Exactly. So it's outdoors.
Yes, it's an outdoor performance at St. Matt's.
There's a lot of buildings I've seen here where they probably would not be.
Oh yeah,
pleased
no,
with
I don't think doing a fire performance inside the church would be a good idea.
Yeah, no, probably
just
terrible
light the
idea.
dust on fire.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. They have 12 more performances.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So there's really no excuses to miss that one.
Does that mean that they do a couple of 2-show days?
Oh yeah, they do.
Fuck
They're
those
doing
guys.
back to back. They're doing back to back shows.
I'm sorry. When I say fuck those guys, I mean
and that's
holy shit.
But that's
Also,
it.
fuck those
But
guys.
that's also circus people, right?
Yeah,
Because circus is. I spent 5 years working for Halifax Circus, and I learned a lot. They're this beautiful gray area between athletes and artists,
Right.
because physically they have to train like they're going to the Olympics. I didn't know that abs came in 10 packs until I started working at circus. But they also have to have incredible artistry and be dancers and understand music and what a crowd, a story. And so every time I'm around them, I'm like, I am technically considered a triple threat. You guys are 4,000 whatever 400 times threat is. I don't understand. It's incredible. It's a really great show, so I would recommend checking it out. Point of the story.
Have you had a chance to see anything yet?
No, I got here yesterday.
Oh shit! Well, yeah.
You just went in.
I feel the same way because before I open, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Fair.
And my imposter syndrome gremlins were out yesterday, so I was like, I want to see something, but I just can't. So,
Fair.
But I did manage to see Mariel's show yesterday, and I quite loved it. It was really beautiful, and I didn't expect that I would be shedding a tear at the end, but I did. So it was quite lovely. Yeah, she got me. She got me good. And Mariel, you have a show today at 3:30.
3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3:30. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
My show's at 12:30, which is why we're doing this at 10:30. So
Yeah.
everybody will have missed that opportunity to see the show by the time this goes online. But there's other opportunities.
My show's at 9:30 tonight. If you're listening to
Oh,
this.
9:30 tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
which works out for the timing of my show. Actually, there's a thing in my show that's very time specific.
Oh.
And we didn't realize. We're like, oh. Well, that's going to be eerie as hell when that happens. Right. Thanks, Fringe.
For shouting out times, I've got one at 2:15 today and another one shortly after 8:30. I don't know
I
when the
have a
evening
schedule.
one
You're
is.
right
I have a
before us.
two-show
You're
day,
You're
though.
doing 2 today?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
I have no idea,
I
man.
I mean that with a lot of respect. What is wrong with you?
No, I'm learning that. Mistakes have been made, but it's
Yes. You did say that you're a Fringe virgin. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, if it's gonna be your first time, go hard.
Go
whole hog, you know?
Go hard. You're not going to remember anything by the time it's done. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
8:10 is your show tonight.
Yeah,
There you go.
Because
8:10.
your show is
Excellent.
right before my show.
We are excellent.
Speaking of not Fringe virgins, what Fringe festivals have you all done?
This is my only Fringe.
Oh,
cool.
I am in a very monogamous relationship with Halifax Fringe.
That is not uncommon. The majority of people who do a Fringe do their local Fringe.
Yeah.
So I'm from Toronto, and most people do the Toronto Fringe.
Yeah.
So most people have a monogamous relationship with their local Fringe.
I just don't do touring shows. Like we do musicals usually, so I'm not taking 40 kids on the road.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. That's a terrible idea. Yeah. I've done the Fundy Fringe. That's my hometown. So that's where this play actually debuted last year in St. John, New Brunswick, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, hometown crowd was really great and out in droves, and we sold out every night, and we won a fan favorite award. It was just it was just the best experience. And then I went to Fundy this year just to watch because I unfortunately didn't get in. Lottery. Darn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's where I met the lovely Phil and everything. It was a great festival this year. There were some really lovely shows there.
Have you? I mean, you're living in Vancouver. Have you done the Vancouver Fringe at all?
I have not. It scares me.
Okay. Why does it scare you? Like, have you attended the Vancouver Fringe?
I have. I've gone to a lot of shows out there. I've seen some great stuff out there. And I think, I moved to Vancouver to train as an actor, which is kind of what the show is about. And you get there and when I got there, it was during Fringe season. So Fringe was this huge thing, and it's very built up in my mind what it is to be in the Vancouver Fringe. And it's funny, I did this show as a fundraiser to get here in Vancouver on my birthday. And it was the most nervous I've ever been about doing this show. And I couldn't figure out why. And finally I realized it's a show about my acting journey. And it was one thing to bring it home and present it to friends and family. And that was a whole fear thing of itself.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But then this was my acting journey in front of everyone who's been a part of my acting journey and shaped the artist that I am.
Okay, I understand. I understand that.
I'm okay. But it was great. It was really wonderful. It was a really warm audience. I start the show kind of hidden in plain sight, and as the lights went down for the show to start, everyone erupted into applause. I was like, we didn't do the thing yet.
Awesome, though.
It was really
that's
great.
great.
It was really, really great. Yeah. And then when I appeared, it happened again, and we had to silence them so we could do the show,
Nice.
which was great. So yeah,
That's nice. Yeah.
it's a good little show. You should come.
If they like it in Vancouver.
Yeah.
then.
Have you done any other Fringe festivals? Where are you from, actually?
I am from Montreal.
Okay.
So I've been to the Montreal Fringe multiple times. I helped write a show that was then in the Montreal Fringe, but I didn't actually participate in it. So I'm very familiar with the Montreal Fringe, but I haven't. This is my first Fringe as an artist.
I know a lot of touring artists who love starting their tour at the Montreal Fringe.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can name a bunch who just love it. And everybody always says, all the touring artists, they say this, and they say this with love. You will not make any money at the Montreal Fringe. But you will have one fucking hell of a time. Because it's a party. No other Fringe has the 13th hour. Do you know the 13th hour?
No.
Okay. So at 1 o'clock in the morning,
Oh dear.
there is a sort of a talk show, variety show thing that happens.
Oh, cool.
So 1 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock. And then when that finishes, there's a dance party till 4.
Oh my God.
And then everybody goes out for drunk food until like 5 or 6. Maybe sits in a park until the sun comes up with a little, little something. And then they go to bed and they wake up and they do a show at like later on.
That sounds like my 22-year-old dream.
Sure, yeah.
Like 32-year-old, he's like, no. But 22 is like, yes.
No, I'm too old for that. I'm completely no. And like, because when I was there, I was like, okay, we're presenting at the 13th hour, so I at least have to go for that. And the whole time I'm like, after 1 o'clock in the morning. I never see one after 1 o'clock in the morning. But it's one of the warmest fringes I've ever been at.
Yeah. I will say, as a Halifax longtime person, that's one thing we don't really have here is like a congregating spot. Like I saw on Facebook in the group, somebody's like, "Where's everybody hanging out?" I'm like, we don't like it. Like the final party is always is off the chain. Like because one thing we like to do out here is drink. So it's like great, but I think because it is a very local fringe, like we have artists from away, but it is mostly a Halifax based. We all have day jobs. Like we're all working through the fringe, so it's like I have my 9 to 5 job. Like luckily, it's still I'm 9 to 5 in a box office. So if I roll in, I'm like, I got tickets for it. It's great. Let's go. So we don't like. That's the one thing I wish we had more of. Like they're trying to build more of a hub up, and it's something we get the feedback a lot of. Like, hey, like why don't you have something like a fringe tent? So I know for me, it's something I really want to see more of because I hear these stories. I'm like, I want to party irresponsibly.
The Montreal Fringe also has the Fringe Park, which is there's bands there all day and things like that. You can grab a bite to eat. A lot of people just go to the Fringe Park for the music. They're like, you try to pitch your show, and they're like, no, music. Go away. Do that somewhere else.
Vancouver has the Fringe Bar, and that's a big deal.
A lot of fringes have, like, Edmonton has Fringe tents all over the place, but nobody goes to them. None of the artists. The attendees go there.
Interesting.
There is the diviest of dive bars that you've ever seen in Edmonton.
Love it.
It's called Steel Wheels.
Oh my god, I love it already.
And all the fringe artists go there.
Okay.
It's the place everybody goes. The beer tent is for attendees, for the people.
For the people.
We go to this place over here where the food may be questionable, but nobody got sick this year, right? You guys, and it's just like a place to go. It's like their place.
Interesting.
Cool.
I've done Montreal, Toronto many times, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Hamilton, and St. John, and now Halifax. So,
yeah. And it's tough because the Halifax Fringe is off the circuit, like because of timing wise.
It diverges. The Eastern fringes diverge because you go. It starts technically. The circuit starts in Orlando.
Whatever.
So Montreal moves west, and then some years you can do Edmonton and then go back here, and some years this is happening like coinciding with the Edmonton Fringe. So it's sort of like
pick your battles.
Diverges. You have to pick your direction.
Full East Coast versus West Coast.
The battle is going on.
Yeah, the battle is on. It's like we get our Biggie Smalls on and make it happen.
So are there? What's on your list to see? Because we're really early in the Fringe. Like all of us have had maybe one performance, maybe not any performance yet. Your first performance is today. Have you had a chance to look at the program yet? Do you know anything that you want to see?
Yeah, I wanted to see Come Home Play. I wanted to see Liminal Flight.
Yes.
And I think that's all that registers at the top of my mind. But to be honest, I want to see all of them.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah. That's the dream.
Sunday, I don't have a show, so that's my marathon going to see as many things as possible day. I recommend 25.
25.
I really recommend 25. Also, they're only here at the front end of the Fringe.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They're not going to be here when Fringe is over because they got to go. They're from Paris, so they're going back there.
Oh, I was wondering. I have many questions.
Also, is that 1999?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw them on Instagram. They're cool.
Yeah. They're the ones with the awesome transitions and the multiple storylines and things.
And I saw that show twice in St. John because I went with my father and then I went with some Fringe friends who really wanted to catch it. And I'll say seeing it twice, like, was really an experience because it is so much to take in and so much to follow. And seeing it the second time, I was like, oh, like so much. I got a whole different show. Yeah. So I mean, if that's something you somehow have time to do at this Fringe, then it is a cool experience to do.
I do highly recommend it. Just if anybody's listening and they're like, I want to see something kind of weird with awesome transitions, go see that.
Super professional level, weird as hell.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Not like weird in a bet, like, because let's all be real, we've all seen Fringe shows. We're like, oh, this is really weird and interesting, but I don't think you meant it to be weird and interesting.
Okay, no.
This is definitely on purpose.
We've all been there.
Yeah. My dad, who went to see it with me, he's not an artist himself. Yeah. He likes, things that have a narrative through line and make sense. And so when the lights came up, he was like, what just happened? But he also loved it. Like, he left entranced, you know? Yeah, so I think that's when you talk about, like, weird Fringe, that's the goal of weird Fringe, you know? Like, something that leaves people, like, I'm sure he's still at home going, and then they, it's a thinker.
I did leave thinking, I got to digest this for a little while.
Well, even just like the way it ends. Yeah. Like we're not talking about it, but like the way it ends, like I was sitting there going, "Oh, I see what you did here." No, this show that I'm doing, we're not nearly as polished or interesting, but it's a similar kind of vibe where it's like we want people leaving going. Oh, I have a lot of questions now. Very much the idea is like we don't answer them. It's like we want you to go away and go, what the shit was that?
There's nothing wrong with that reaction. You know what? And in a way, that could be a great reaction because people are going to fucking talk about it.
Exactly.
Right?
I know the show that I'm going to go see this afternoon. 2 local comedy folks who wrote it. Oh Crap, My Scarf by Kevin Hartford. He wrote a show last year about one of our local actors he's an actor, writer, director.
I heard about that.
So I, the Dan Bray Story. So this is not a sequel to that, but it's weird as hell. It's 25 minutes, and a friend of mine who's already seen it is like, it literally wants to be a musical, and they keep trying to break out into song, and like stopping themselves. I'm like, that alone. I'm like, I'll see that. That sounds hysterical. And then I am also looking forward this afternoon to seeing In Space, which my buddies Nick Koch and Steve Heisler wrote that, and it's 100% if the Muppets in space, like the pigs in space, were people. Like it's that combined with Star Trek. And if I know these guys at all, I did a show with them last winter, and they're hysterical. So I'm like, yes.
With their title, you do have to kind of say, in space. You can't be like, I'm going to see In Space.
It's like if you don't put the emphasis on it, you're doing it wrong.
Emphasis on the right syllable.
Exactly.
What's on your list?
Oh my god, so many things. I also want to see everything. Everybody at this table was already on my list, so that's wonderful. Nice to see everybody. I look forward to your shows.
Excellent.
But also, clearly, I am a huge horror nerd. And there's a ton of that kind of content at this festival, which is super exciting for me. So I'm really so I'm really pumped for Evil. I'm really pumped for Ghost Project. I'm excited for Q, Psychic Story of the Supernatural. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but like there's a bunch that are all kind of Gina is Dead with the ghosts. Like
I want to back up and talk about Evil for a second.
Yeah.
The bravery of do you guys know there's a podcast like adults reading things that wrote as kids or teenagers? But the bravery of like taking this book that she wrote when she was like 9 and like unearthing it and forcing her friends to perform it in front of people. There's something about that that's kind of
I love it. That's the kind of chutzpah you love at Fringe when you're playing. And I know that team, and it's all really talented actors. The writer, she's a great writer now, so I'm assuming she had like some seeds of talent as a child. But I was asking, I was like, so like, I love you guys, but is this worth my time? They're like, oh. Oh yes it is. It's like, this is the most ridiculous thing. I'm like, yes, like I love it. Like I totally agree with you. That idea of like, okay, let's just lay ourselves bare and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to She-Wolf. I have
That's
been following
mine.
Jill for ages, and this is like I haven't had a chance to see her perform.
Oh, really?
And this is the first time that she's not playing herself, which is another thing.
Yeah.
So I'm totally looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And she literally just came from the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes.
To do this one. So number one, I'm not sure how she's still standing.
Right.
And she's performing every night of the Fringe.
Yeah, doing
she's another
two
one of those
different
people. And see,
That's amazing.
See, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she's doing.
Yeah,
it.
she's doing 2 shows too. She's doing She-Wolf, and she's also recording a
Yeah,
comedy
there's
album.
three times when she's like recording a comedy album.
That's awesome.
Plus, she's doing a workshop on storytelling.
Yeah.
So
She was
my
here
God.
last year, 2 years. She's been here a couple of times, and last year she was here. She did 2 shows in rep, and 2 very different shows. She brought back Drag Queen Stole My Dress, which is if she's doing it at a Fringe near you, go see it. It's hysterical and heartbreaking. And then she did another one. She premiered a new one. I don't remember what it was called, but saw both of them, and I'm like, how do you do what you do?
Yeah.
Like, you're a machine.
Well, I was watching her in because she's been she's been living in Australia.
Yeah.
And doing the Fringes there, and I'll be like she posts her schedule and she's like, okay, so doing She-Wolf, and I'm doing Drag Queen Stole My Dress, and I'm doing this one, and I'm doing this one. I'm like, where are you finding the time for this? Why are you a supernatural machine? She'll be here next week. We can ask her. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And of course, like I want to see your guys' shows because now that I've opened my show, I feel like I can see things now. But yeah, so aside from that, like, are there any workshops that you've seen that you're interested in? Are there? I mean, those of us who are not from Halifax as well, are there any like Halifaxy things that you're interested in doing while you're? Because during the week, Fringe doesn't start until like 5:00.
Yeah, very true.
that's fair.
Yeah, I ended up out and about in town last night. I will highly recommend we all go to the Ale House one of these nights. Survived. They paid.
As the Halifax native, I'm like, you won't catch me dead, but please go to the Ale House.
Well, see, I've been off the East Coast for quite a while. East Coast, and I miss good fiddle, and I miss dancing in a bar.
Sure.
Yep,
And they played Heave Away, Haul Away.
Yep.
Back to back with the night that Patty Murphy died,
Oh.
and my soul lit on fire. Like, I was just beside myself. And my stage manager is from Toronto originally, and she now lives in Vancouver, and she has no idea what she's in for.
Oh, bless.
So I was across the dance floor from her when it came on, and I just like emerged from the crowd, and I was
You're
like,
fatted.
"It's this one. This is the song I was." Yeah, it was great. We had a good old time. Halifax opened its warm
love
and
it.
welcoming arms to us
Because it's also the weekend the students come back. And
Oh,
we're,
shit.
Yeah,
That's
we're a university town. We have 5 universities and colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
we have all the like our population literally
students.
triples this weekend. So
wow.
it's like Halifax is tourist city until Labor Day weekend. So that's why if you're like nobody knows how to drive and there's moving vans everywhere.
There were right behind our billet. The entire street was moving yesterday, and we were like, "What is happening?" That makes so much sense.
Students are back, so going out is an adventure, which is why I'm like, as the person who lives here, I'm
So
like,
scared.
God bless, have fun. Here are the bars you should go to. You won't catch me dead.
I also went to Peggy's Cove yesterday,
Oh,
which was really amazing, and it's the 20th anniversary of the Swiss Air thing happening. So it was a really moving experience to be out there.
To be honest with you, I had not, because I've been so focused on Fringe, I really had forgotten that like
It's September 1st.
September 1st,
Yeah.
and that, like it's Labor Day
Yeah.
weekend.
It's crazy.
So, of course, the students are coming back. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's amazing what Fringe brain can do. I don't know. I'm looking forward to exploring, although the fucking hills are killing me.
Yeah, that's
Like-
crazy, right?
Like I am like trying to get around, and I'm like, what kind of mountain goat people live in this city that these hills like are a thing?
So yesterday I took my longboard from downtown Halifax all the way into like deep Dartmouth, and it took me an hour and a half of just like up and down hills and across the bridge. I was just like, all right, this is a workout.
Did you carry it back, or did you ride back?
I took the bus back.
That's really wise.
Yeah,
really
I was
wise.
like, take the ferry.
Save
So
the
it's an
legs.
easy. It's easy.
Yeah.
I forget again. I'm like, what are you? Like, what? There's no hills. Oh, I suppose actually, yeah.
I was complaining in St. John.
Oh, bless your heart.
I was in St. John. I was like, I'm uptown St. John. I'm like, what the fuck is with these hills? And then I get here and I'm like, fuck St. John. These hills are like insane.
See, I'm from St. John, and I'm not bothered there, obviously. We're used to this.
I am also from St. John.
So Andrew and I have experience with this type of thing. And I live in Vancouver in, like, not in the mountains, but
Like
all of my streets are mini mountains.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm just, I hadn't noticed there were hills here.
Oh my god.
Are there hills here?
Oh my god.
It's just because of the
This is
harbor.
flat to you.
I'm good.
I don't think about it. It's like I remember the first time I went to Ottawa, and you hear Parliament Hill, and I'm from a place that has hills.
Yeah.
And so I was like, great. I imagined Parliament Hill was like on this giant fucking hill, like Citadel Hill.
No, it's
and then
sort
I
of
was
like
like,
a
and
bump.
then it's like flat. And
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, no, it's on the other side. I'm like, that's a cliff. It's
No,
Parliament
it's
Cliff.
That is,
Like, don't
you are
lie.
correct.
It's like, this is Parliament Cliff, not Parliament Hill. Keep it straight.
It doesn't sound the same.
No.
It really sounds
No.
It sounds more like
good.
an evil lair.
Because
If it's
Parliament, yes, you're right. Parliament Cliff sounds like an evil lair or a place where they push people off. If they're like, this is what happens when the opposition leader is like,
It's like, Joe Clark, you're too old. Bye-bye.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the art gallery.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You should try and convince them to let you see the Annie Leibovitz collection we're not allowed to display.
Why aren't we allowed to
We have an
it?
Annie Leibovitz collection that they was donated, a private donation, but Annie Leibovitz's people are like, you didn't pay for it, so you can't display it.
Oh my god.
So there's like $2 million worth of portraiture in the basement of their art gallery.
Oh, my God.
You probably won't be able to display that until she dies, plus
Yeah.
70 years.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing. But yeah, the gallery is gorgeous. They have a Maud
Nice.
Lewis room.
Yes, I think they've got the replica of her house.
Yeah. That's really
So I'm
fun.
looking forward to that. Yeah. So, any final thoughts? Any final words about the Halifax Fringe so far? What do you like? You just got here yesterday. How are you like navigating all of this?
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah.
I'm being hosted by a lovely family, and so are my castmates. Everyone's incredibly welcoming. And people give me directions in a second. I feel very safe. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's been great.
Did you have your tech yesterday?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Mark helped us out.
Okay, good.
He was
Yeah.
like, wow, you have so many cues. Like, yup.
I feel that, yep.
It was great. The space, the Old Company Theatre really caters to our show because our show is set in a bar.
Oh, nice.
cool.
Nice.
So yeah, no, it's really good.
Good. One of the things that I have noticed out on the East is that there's a lack of the BYOV, except for the church and Campfire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the
But
circus
there-
spaces have to bring their own space. Yeah.
Exactly. But in other fringes, there are iterations. Like Montreal has off fringe, and other places have BYOV. Toronto has site specific, which allows people to participate in the fringe if they didn't get in the lottery, but to find a space of their own.
For us, it's a little different because we don't have a lottery. It's first come, first served.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also used to have a lot more venues.
Which fringe is this?
So for here in Halifax, we don't. It's not juried. It's not a lottery. It's whoever makes the deadline gets in, which is a whole other vibe, which does make it a little bit of a lottery to see shows. You're like, nobody checked this. Let's make sure. But we're in Halifax. We're suffering from a real lack of performance space right now because the waiting room and Old Pool Hall and Campfire are all disappearing as soon as the fringe is over. They're being demolished. But there have been years where we had spaces like this, like Plan B, but down on Gaunce Street, like in the Khyber. So there's a turret, literally a turret on the Khyber, and so you could perform inside a castle turret.
That's so cool.
And 5 people could fit in the room. And you're just like, I'm in a goddamn castle.
That's amazing.
But we don't have that. We don't have those empty spaces right now, and so it's frustrating because I love seeing shows where you're like, "Hi, I can fit 7 people in this room, and we're going to do a little show." And you're like, "Here's my $3, and that was awesome." And we don't have that right now, and it kills me.
I don't know about in other places. In Toronto, there's a sort of a resurgence of some storefront theater. like the Red Sandcastle
Yeah.
and the Assembly Hall, and hopefully one day the company called the Storefront Theater will actually find a new
Yes.
storefront. But those are like really intimate spaces, and there's something really kind of magical about.
Yeah.
I mean, I see theater space everywhere I go.
Yes.
But I love when somebody takes like a space that was a storefront and turns it into
Yeah.
something. And I'd love to see that here, and that
Yeah.
could maybe give you guys some.
Yeah. Well, even this, like, this
Yeah.
is the back room of the craziest eclectic shop in the world. And so, like, I've seen shows in here, and when it worked, like, I saw a full musical in here last year.
Wow.
In this space, a 5-person kid show musical. Piano player, props, the whole thing in this room that's like 6 feet by 6 feet.
No flaws.
And it was fantastic.
That's
And you're like, oh my god. Like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
you can make theater anywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to have people who are willing to sit in shitty chairs and pay for it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. But yeah. In Montreal, are there, like, I know there's the Mainline Theater and they host the Fringe.
Yeah.
Along Saint Laurent, I know there's a whole bunch of spaces that have opened up. What is the state of theater?
Oh, there's so much
Yeah.
theater in Montreal. And, like, I think there's, like, thousands of shows at the Fringe. I mean, I could be making this up, but there's just so much theater happening when the Fringe goes around. And it's interesting because there's, like, two different ecosystems entirely, because there's the Francophone and the Anglophone. And, again, I haven't really participated in the Fringe that much, so I don't know the details, but I don't think they really compete for space or audiences. Like, there's a good...
Yeah.
Like, at the Fringe opening, there were shows both in French and in English, and I don't know, I think there's a good overlap of crowds.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's spread out across the whole city. I think it's a town that, like, really prides itself on its theater.
Yeah.
And, like,
When I was in Montreal, it's the first time that somebody had said, Cameron Moore, actually, she was doing a workshop on promoting Fringe, and she said, there is audience enough for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're not in competition.
No.
Yeah.
And there's that vibe among the artists, too.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a very friendly, like, oh, go see this show, go see this
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone trying to help each other out.
That's another reason why I think Montreal is a great space to start your tour, because you come out of Montreal, and Montreal really sort of pioneered the password system, which you find in a bunch of other fringes. Not every fringe has this handy artist pass that I'm holding up and you can't see because this is audio. In a lot of fringes, there would be passwords, and so you give your password to the artists, and the artist they'll go up and they'll be like, "Here's the password," and then they're like, "And all right, you get to go in," and it's a great way to share your show with other people. And I've literally seen people on the circuit, because they've seen a show somewhere else. They're pitching a show to somebody, and the person, I can't go at that time. It's like, when can you go? Like, when do you have an opening? Okay, I'll tell you what's playing then. And I've seen this show, so you should see it. And that's one of the most beautiful things
that.
about
Oh, yeah.
Fringe, and I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was wearing a Sex T-Rex t-shirt yesterday. And
Love
if
those
you're not
guys.
familiar with Sex T-Rex, they're a comedy troupe based in Toronto. They've been here a couple of times because they have some family out here. And they're not even in this year's festival. People are stopping like, what is happening? I'm like, listen, if you can find these people, you need, and that's what it's about. Like, I love the cross-country community that comes with Fringe.
Yeah.
You're like, yes, like, now that I've hung out with you guys, I'll be like, oh my God, see these shows!
Yeah.
Sex T-Rex, interestingly enough, is thrilled that they are in the Fringo. In the program.
Yeah.
I passed it on. I saw that they were there, and I passed that over to them, and they were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Somebody was wearing a sex. You were wearing
I
a
was
Sex
there,
T-Rex
yeah,
shirt,
yeah.
so they're thrilled about that.
Yeah.
They also love launching their tour, like going to Montreal.
Yeah.
It's a space where they feel like they can workshop their shows. So it's
Yeah.
like this great
Yeah.
sort of thing.
I love
and
it.
so everybody misses for Sex T-Rex here. Believe me, I've seen the proof.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll come back next year.
Trust.
All right. Well, thanks so much, you guys. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We will do this again next week.
One week's
When we are.
And once we've seen all the shows.
And also, when certain members of our group are far more tired because they're performing every day.
It'll be delirious. It'll be great.
Next Saturday, I have a 2 show after this, so it's
Excellent.
like it'll be fine. I'll
Yeah.
be right there with you. Actually, the opening night of Shakespeare in Love at Neptune, our main theater, happens on Friday. So it's like I'm gonna roll into this on Saturday morning and be like, I've fringed and I've binged.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we will see that next
Excellent.
week. Thank you so much, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a Homebody Productions production.